situational work is kind of going to define this last week. So how do you try to use that? What sort of scenarios do you put them in to kind of stress test them before the first game?
Yeah, it's never easy, right, to take the anxiety of week one when the situations actually occur. But for us, it always is going to come down to 2 minute, end of half, end of game, 4 minute scenarios, last plays, certain things with the clock. So there's just so many things. It's almost like a hidden plays that it's could come up at any point, about 15, 20 of them, and we got to do them as much as possible so the guys can go execute them.
In your wide receiver room, I think we kind of know who the top three guys are, but Gilmore's out. How have you seen Ferrier and AB sort of step up?
Yeah, both those guys have done a tremendous job. They really have. Fred's probably been one of our most consistent wide receivers throughout camp. Runs precise routes, makes plays on the ball, is tough on the perimeter. We're extremely fortunate to have him. Anthony Brown's one of the best ball in hand guys we have. He's got electricity on the outside, carrying the football. So again, we just we're going to use a lot of those guys in and out, and we're excited to use them all.
What dynamic does Fred have? You talked about his impact. We saw him in high school locally, then he disappeared for a couple of years. What does he immediately bring to that unit?
A certain level of consistency and toughness. I think so much about that position is always about, top end speed and his short area quickness. What's never forgotten though is a guy that knows exactly what he's doing, makes tough plays, and I think that's first and foremost with him.
With Chip out for a while, how do you see running back? Where does it stand right now?
Yeah, it's still thought of that committee. Was again what we were saying early on. Obviously, with us losing Chip, it becomes even more of that. Again, we've made that comment of however many times we're handing the ball off, making sure that we have a plan for who's receiving those handoffs. And I think we got to be creative, with multiple different guys touching it, and that's what we're trying to get done.
How does that alter your play calling when the number one RB apparently is down? And then you look at everybody else, but how does that alter what you want to do?
Certainly changes it for sure, but that's why they call us coach, So if it was possible to be the video game and everybody take off injuries, that would be awesome. But that's not our world. So there's contingency plans. Obviously, when guys go down, it's a next man up philosophy with every team, and we need to get those next guys up ready to go because we got a serious schedule ahead of us.
So when you're calling plays, do you call out the personnel groupings too, or the position coaches? Are they in charge of rotating guys? How does that sort of work?
Yeah, we're pretty detailed on the different personnels we use. It's on the plan. I'll generally say it before the play call, and then the coaches on the field are responsible for getting those guys in the game.
Have you seen those guys kind of respond to the opportunity that's there? You never want to see somebody go down in front of you, but they do have a chance here to really show.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a situation you tell a guy, you can't ever guarantee you when your time's going to come, but it's going to come. And I think for Jason Patterson and Wilcox, particularly those two guys, Demi, I think, has been a guy who's been in there a majority regardless. But those two young backs are going to get their opportunity. We're excited to see them go.
Was it?
Yeah, I think we've said about 6 or 7 all along, and the biggest thing again is just the position flexibility, if you will, and what happens if a certain guy goes down. Can this guy fill in at that spot? Is he better on the left? Is he better on the right? So those are all things, again, we try to plan for and make sure we know what we're doing in a quick moment during game time.
Is there one particular area right now that you want to make sure you've got buttoned down, or you really want to focus on and make sure we've got this sharp going into that game week?
You're saying just schematically or in general?
Any part of the operation.
Yeah, I think it's a great question. I think the operational part is the number one thing. We always tell our guys all the time, before you can, go win games, you got to figure out how not to lose them. And I think in those week one opportunities, again, with the anxiety up, they haven't been in front of 70,000 people. It's the operational stuff, making sure the signals from the snap count to the communication is the most critical thing, and that's it. It's the win the pre-snap for us. Everything we're trying to get done in the pre-snap to get aligned. We like to do a lot of different things, and then certainly making the routine plays routine.
How do you feel about what you've seen in that regard now? Are they clean? No few pre-snap penalties, things like that?
I think so. I think we're doing a good job. I think, certainly in that first week or two in the spring, that was a big thing we took away from it was not where it needed to be. So I think for us, from a standard standpoint, again, those things of what can we control to not beat ourselves has been the emphasis ever since really May, if you will. And so that's something that we got to take pride in and we got to get done.
To that end, how do you feel about the command that these guys have of the new language, new verbiage with your offense?
They've done a good job. They really have. And again, for us, I think year one, you're constantly thinking about it, right? It's not, you're not necessarily coming in with year 5 of the install. You got to make those tough decisions. I really feel the offensive staff has done a tremendous job of deciding, and those guys saying, hey, we need this, we maybe don't need that, again, to try to get us to play as well as we can this fall.
You've done 2 weeks of camps and scrimmages. Is it the game's just looming off just in the distance? Is it tough to get the guys engaged and excited for practice when the light is sort of at the end of the tunnel?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think it's definitely, you can see the last 15, 20 minutes of each practice, just sometimes the focus starts, it's the same thing over and over again. And so certainly from the coaching staffs of starting to already get the prep with Southern Miss and putting in that time, you're itching to do that. But as you guys know, so much of this stuff that we're doing now from a situational standpoint is going to show up in the season, and it's equally important.
Coach, who's your unsung hero? Maybe a guy we haven't asked about that we should be talking about.
Yeah, again, I mean, I think we've talked about Fred Ferrier, and so much of it is, as you guys know, right, there's so many distractions these days, and there's NIL, and there's am I the starter, the this, the that. You still kind of got a couple of old school throwback guys, whether it's by choice or not, and just kind of work every day and get that done. I'd say he's one of those guys. Again, I really feel both the young backs, whether it's Wilcox or Patterson, have taken that approach. You never know when their time's going to be, but are they going to be ready for it? And so those are some guys. I think Willie Rodriguez, the young tight end, is as impressive of a tight end as we've had. So he's a guy that's out there playing hard. He's got the right mentality. And certainly a guy like Dylan Ray, who maybe on the offensive line isn't always being talked about, but if we need him at the guard position, at the tackle position, he's ready to step in. So that's kind of the nucleus of the team. Those are the guys that are super impressive, right, who on the front end of it might not get all the accolades or might not have all the excitement, but just put their head down, go to work every day, and look what's happening now. Their number's called, and they're up.
Wilcox is a guy who he's an explosive, big play sort of guy. With players like that, do you sometimes maybe have to, eat some of those no gains or one or two? Do you have to be cognizant of that when you're playing them, that not every play is going to be a big play?
Yeah, exactly. I think, again, when we look at our numbers, right, there's that equal balance of who's touching the ball, right? Sometimes you're giving it to a guy who's maybe going to push the pile and get you 3 to 4 yards every play, and then there's got to be the variance of, hey, on this play, we're willing to take that risk, if you will. We're willing to get it to a guy that can make a big play and a big run. And again, those are all things, I think sometimes my folks always ask me, what do I do during the week, but those are all things during the week that we're trying to have a plan for and have the right, the right balance of who we're giving the ball to and what we're doing with them.
Ryan, did you have one? Yeah, what I was going to ask is that, each receiver has different strengths and things he brings to the table. So what is it that Hardley did bring that's going to be kind of missing while he's sidelined for tomorrow?
Yeah, you guys know I've talked about Hardley a lot. I mean, he is, in my opinion, as complete a young receiver as I've been around from the standpoint of he's got top end speed, he's a good route runner, he's tough, he's physical. So there's just a lot of things there. Every once in a while you get these freshmen that, they don't even recognize the lights. They don't know if it's big lights, small lights, what it is. They're just excited to be in the SEC at a place like Kentucky playing for Coach Stoops, and he kind of had that vibe. Like, there was no, oh man, I got to save myself for a long year. He knew one speed, and I think we get him healthy. If he consistently can take that mindset, I think the world of Harvey doing.
Thanks, Coach.
Guys like Fred Ferrier and AB stepped up.
I think the biggest thing is, all those guys are bought in, the Coach Hamdan system, so it makes it a lot easier. Fred and AB, everybody in that room they're really good kids, and they work their tails off. I think that's the thing I'm most happy about coming out of this camp, they worked their asses off. Sorry about that. They worked their tails off. They worked their butts off, but they've just been doing a good job. They continue to buy in, and they work hard, and they care about each other, so it makes it a lot easier.
When you've reached this point of camp, is it hard to keep the guys sort of locked in and focused and disciplined?
Naturally, yes. Human nature is just hard to, stay consistent within your discipline and the small details, but they allow us to coach them pretty hard, and we demand a lot from them. So they don't take it personal as we're attacking them. They take the coaching and they try to be the best that they can be, and that's all that you can ask for.
Bush spoke earlier in camp about how some of it is the positions kind of, instead of competing with each other, but the other position rooms, like the wide receivers.
Absolutely.
You don't want reps taken from the tight end. So have you seen that from your guys where they're trying to make sure that, maybe a Willie Rodriguez or one of those tight ends
Yeah, absolutely. I'm always preaching to these guys, we got to capitalize on every opportunity, whether that's getting lined up, alignment, assignment, doing the right thing. And obviously when the play comes, you got to make the play. It's going to be tough to convince Big Dog to keep them tight ends off the field. So I think that's an uphill battle. But, they all love each other. They all root for each other, whether it's tight end, running back, quarterback. So that's all you can ask for. It's pretty good chemistry there.
What's the biggest area of growth you've seen from Barry on from when you got here in December to now?
One, I just want to say I'm extremely proud of him. I think the biggest growth for him, he is what he is. He's an electric. He's going to make plays. He's got some God-given ability that none of us have. But just mentally, he really wanted him to get mentally tougher, and I think that's something that he got better at this summer. Trusting his teammates, trusting his coaching, just being more dependable and reliable. But the biggest thing is just his mental aspect. I think he grew and he matured a lot off of that.
There's been a lot of talk about Fred Ferrier this year. Just kind of maybe talk about what you've seen from him in practice.
Fred's he's an unbelievable kid. He comes out here, you're not going to hear too much from him. He might not speak the whole practice, he might not speak in meetings, but he comes out here, he wants his teammates to do well, and then he just works his butt off. He comes out here, every rep's like his last rep. He wants to make a play, whether it's a block, whether it's a catch. He just wants to do right all the time, and he's doing a really good job on special teams as well, so I'm glad we got him.
We've heard from Coach Stoops and some of the players about what you brought to this group. What did you think this group needed when you got here? What have you brought?
One, I would say they've done the guys that were here before me and the guys that are here now did a hell of a job recruiting these guys. Got a lot of talent, but I just think sometimes you just need a fresh start, and a lot of these guys just they just want to see how it's supposed to be done, and they just want somebody that's going to demand a lot and stay on them. I think they do want tough love. I played the position and I'm a little younger, so I'm not afraid to challenge them and push them, but. It's easy for me. They do all the work. Like they buy in, they come out here day in and day out. They work pretty hard, so they make my job a lot easier.
We don't know a lot about Brock, but we know he's good at ad-libbing.
Yeah.
So what are the challenges as a pass catcher to being able to make plays when the play breaks down and things don't go according to plan?
I think one thing that helps us out in our room is working scramble drill. Just staying active. Brock's pretty athletic, if I must say. So if a play does break down and we see him scrambling out of the pocket, that's a chance for a big play opportunity or just a first down catch to keep the chains moving. And I think as we continue to go and get more comfortable, I think that can be something that we can definitely benefit off of offensively.
Is that something you just like a feel thing? Yeah. Like is it all just feel and getting reps for the quarterback?
I would say reps. I think Coach Hamdan's done a great job, preaching on that and practicing in practice. But once that ball gets kicked, it's more of a feel, and hopefully by that time it's just routine at that point, and it looks natural.
Is he one of those quarterbacks where the first route may break down or there might not be anything there, but your receiver has to stay in it because he can?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think the play's never dead with Brock. Like I said, he's pretty athletic. He's a really good kid. He wants to win. He wants to succeed. So, he's just got he's got a great mentality. He's who we want back there, and then we just need to continue to feed off of him and make his job, as easy as possible.
What kind of camp has Dane Key had to this point?
Yeah. Well, Dane's had a tremendous camp. He's a really good kid. All the boys look up to him in that room outside of football. But I couldn't have asked more from Dane. I think he's got, extremely stronger since I've been here in the winter/spring. He's done a really good job of making some contested catches and just pushing himself, gearing himself to get in shape for the season. I'm very thumbs up on Dane right now, if I'm being honest.
You talk about Barry on having that God-given talent.
Mm-hmm.
Just maybe you've coached a lot of great receivers. Maybe just kind of compare them to maybe you guys you've seen in the past.
Yeah. Honestly, that's tough. I've never really. I don't think I've ever played with or had anyone as talented. Just able to stretch the field and make plays downfield as Barry on.
You weren't that fast?
Shoot, if I was that fast, I wouldn't be here right now. But I mean, he's a unique individual. He's still developing at the position, so that means he's only going to continue to get better. As long as he stays focused and he continues to buy in, I think he'll have a really good shot to doing what he wants to do in life.
You mentioned the strength that Dane added. Just how beneficial do you think that's going to be for him on some of those plays in the middle of the field that he's made throughout his career here?
Yeah, very, very beneficial. I mean, if you look at his body, his frame's changed. He's a kid that was really committed to the offseason. He took it serious as far as weight training, eating, putting the right things in his body, and I think that will not only help him, now, but moving forward in his career.